part of the AMSEG development is likely to see a growth of a design capability here in Australia as well through Luerssens. Luerssens have made it clear that they seek to transfer technology into Australia, and that's one area where we think we could benefit. Again, it's still to be worked out, the details of that, but we're hopeful that that type of technology transfer will take place down track. Look, obviously the geographic location of Fremantle and Henderson facilities here are perfect for supporting our Indian Ocean neighbours. I think there's a lot of value to pursue an Indian Ocean patrol boat program. It works very well in the Pacific and has done for some decades. And I think there's an opportunity and a need for a similar program here in the Indian Ocean. I think Australia as a whole needs to pay more attention to the Indian Ocean, and I think that the patrol boat program is a very benign but very useful program that provides a practical solution to countries in the region that may not otherwise be able to provide the types of border protection and border patrols that they need. We've got the capability here in Western Australia to build vessels that would be ideal for that purpose for a number of the neighbours around the Indian Ocean rim, and obviously there'd be some economic benefit here in WA to do that as well. As I mentioned earlier, my role transitioned from Civmec into Forgacs when we acquired that particular brand, and it's been very successful in accelerating our move into the defence industry and increasing our profile across defence. We have noted though that there is some degree of brand confusion. Whilst we've been marketing our marine and defence capability under Forgacs, there's a natural tendency, because of the size and the diversity of Civmec, for people to fall into an expectation that it's Civmec that's running this particular element of the business. To resolve that confusion, we've made a decision that we will retire the Forgacs brand. So when I finish up with Civmec shortly, the Forgacs brand will not go forward, and we will do all of our marine defence work under the Civmec umbrella. So my relief will be the Civmec General Manager for Marine and Defence. He will have the same remit as me in terms of growing the marine and defence business, but we're just trying to clarify for the benefit of our customers and for industry as a whole that this is a one-stop shop under the Civmec umbrella rather than the confusing situation where we have two brands. Forgacs is a wholly owned subsidiary of Civmec, so it's been sitting under the Civmec umbrella, and in its formative days we've relied heavily on Civmec corporate support. So really, apart from the name on the door, nothing is changing. The Civmec brand, which is well known now, is moving forward and will be the home of the Marine and Defence business unit. As I've alluded to, my days at Civmec are numbered, and very sadly I'll be leaving Civmec at a time when it's moving on to the next phase of its growth. We now have the OPV contract, the new facilities are under construction, so it's exciting times ahead for the company. However, I've been appointed as the West Australian Agent General for the UK and Europe, based in London, and it's a terrific opportunity. I'm very grateful to be given this opportunity to go to Europe and the UK and promote West Australian industry. The role is largely a trade and investment role, so my role will be to engage with local industries in Europe and the UK and see how they might be interested in investing in Western Australia, how they might partner with Western Australian companies, and vice versa, how Western Australian companies might see opportunities in Europe and the UK. Because of my background, I'll largely focus on my core strengths, which are in the marine and defence, oil and gas markets, education and training, and of course all of those are underpinned by having a location, an economy, a geography that is well supported by very attractive in terms of tourism. We want Western Australia to be a place where investors are happy to come and live and work and grow. So yes, I'll be off to the UK in July, and I look forward to continuing an association with Western Australian companies. As I've been mentioning during this interview, there's a lot of opportunities through Luerssens and our joint venture with them for exports. I think there's a much broader opportunity than that as well. There's a lot of skills and capabilities in Europe, but we shouldn't underestimate the amount of innovation and new ideas emanating from Western Australia. And my role is to take those ideas and those companies that wish to try the European and UK market. And of course, it'll be a very interesting few years there, because with Brexit happening, it's causing both the UK and Europe to sit up and take note about their trade relationships. So I think out of Brexit there's some great opportunities for Western Australia. We're rich in raw materials, but we're also rich in capability and some very interesting areas of research and development. So from Brexit, I think both the UK and Europe will be looking for new relationships, and hopefully I will be able to support companies that want to participate in that. Look, I think in my time in Western Australia, we've seen the Western Australian defence industry come a long way. Initially, it was done on the wing and a prayer largely, but more recently it's been more coordinated, more team focused, and it's had great support from both state government and federal government. West Australian based federal parliamentarians have been very supportive of the defence industry growth in Western Australia. It's been a very important thing to happen, because we've seen through the heady days of the resource boom, and then the change of circumstances now where we've moved into a more operational phase of the resource industry, that Western Australia does need to develop a more diversified approach across a range of industries. So I think we're doing that now, and defence industry is an important part of that. Other key elements are science and technology, space, medical research, and other areas within the marine field as well. Offshore oil and gas, I think there's a good opportunity for Perth in particular to become a global hub for undersea research and development, supporting both the offshore oil and gas industry and the military, submarines, mine warfare, hydrographic surveys and the like. Synergies between the resource sector and the military come at a number of different levels. Of course, the workforce required for each is similar in terms of the skill sets required. So the ability to move people from one to the other is not totally seamless, but it's relatively simple with some upskilling either way. As I mentioned, the undersea technology, there's a massive overlap there. So things like understanding the undersea environment, undersea communications, the properties of materials in the subsea environment, the need to be able to operate sensors, a variety of sensors in the undersea environment, and gather data applies to both the commercial world and the military. The oceans are not yet transparent, and there's a lot of research that can be done in that field. And with the oceans covering such a vast percentage of the globe, and with Australia being an island nation, and with so many of our resources being in the offshore environment, it's an area where we should naturally pay attention to and work to develop further.